Going live. Greetings, everyone. I'm Meredith Coleman McGee, your host for Community Library of Mississippi's um, presentation, a community speaking series presented by Dana Rice. And the name of her presentation is Impact of Black Music on Popular Culture, and who has more information than a recorded artist who has written over 200 songs. She's a native of Jackson, Mississippi. She also has recorded over 60 songs. And her latest song, which she did this year, Dear America, which is a beautiful song, is up for a Grammy consideration with the Recording Academy. And Dana is the founder of BlackArtsEducation.com. She works with a lot of youth. She comes from a very multi-talented family. She uh, her background is gospel. She also has played piano for HBO TV series Watchmen, and she's the author of, is it three books?
Four.
Four. Four, not three, four. Okay. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from Jackson State University and a Master of Divinity from the International Theological Center. Now you have a BS in chemistry and you're an expert in music. You've written all these songs, you've recorded all these songs, you work with, you have your own studio.
Yeah, yeah.
And thank you for being a part of this. And I must say that the Mississippi Humanities Council um, sponsors this speaking series. We thank them for their support. And we have with us Chris Young, a writer for the Mississippi Link, who works with Dana's mother, who is a writer. So, Dana, it's yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Meredith. Thank you, Chris, for being here and for everybody who's going to be watching this. And thanks to the Humanities Council for sponsoring a program like this. Um, Meredith, I have a question as I get started. Am I set up to be able to share my screen?
Yes, you can share your screen.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, I'll just jump right in. Today I'm going to be talking about the impact of Black music. Um, I'm going to go ahead and get the screen shared so that it'll be there when I need it.
Okay.
All right. All right. Let me see what y'all looking at. All right. So you're seeing the impact of Black music? Is that what you're seeing on your screen? All right, awesome. Okay, so if you see, I just want to kind of, as an artist, every little detail matters to me. So I chose this background where you see the lady just kind of looking and you don't really have a clear, like, what is she thinking? Is she happy? Is she sad? Is she confused? We don't know. And so it's just an outlook on, okay, well, tell me about Black music and the impact that it has had and is having in the world. So that's why she's looking that way. Let me see if I can go to the next. All right, so welcome everybody. Let's spend this hour together listening. Let's spend it thinking about the color of music, the why now of music, the how of music, and what if of music. And we'll spend this hour asking ourselves questions we never asked about Black music. Um, and let us go in deciding to come out a little more curious and a lot more aware of the impact of Black music on ourselves, on our children, and the whole world. Because a song that I like to sing that I wrote, Black music is more than you hear on your radio. Open your mind. There's more to music than you know. Black music is more than you hear on your radio. Open your mind. There's more to music than you know. All
Wonderful.
right. Thank you. Okay, so just a little bit about me. I wrote this stuff down so I can remember what I wanted to tell you. What I really wanted to tell you, uh-oh, I didn't mean to change the page, is a few stories about how Black music has impacted me. But I did put a few of the things, and I think Meredith kind of mentioned all these things. I'm a songwriter, a singer, a vocal coach, a piano teacher. I'm a mom of a jazz pianist, mom of an actress. I record. People call me the queen of big dreams because I spend my days convincing people that anything is possible. I'm an author, a daughter, a wife, and an arts education curator. But I remember watching Diana Ross in concert on TV when I was just a little girl, and she was singing "Reach Out and Touch Somebody's Hand." You know, reach out and touch somebody's hand, make this world a better place if you can. And even though I was just a little girl, I like clearly still remember that watching that concert. And I saw people in the audience on the screen, they were crying. And then I saw Diana crying. And then next thing I know, I was crying. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? You know, and as a child, I didn't really have the language to explain to myself or anybody else what was happening at the moment. But for them to be in a screen, in a TV screen, and the feelings and the emotion to just kind of get transferred to me, I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And from that moment, I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be someone who could sing and move audiences in that way. Um, and a fun fact, somebody mentioned to me recently, they were like, "Oh, you're always talking about, how Diana Ross was like your first no, idea that you want to sing, and you grew up to be Dana Rice, which sounds a lot like Diana Ross." So I was like, I never thought of that. That was kind of cool. But then there was also a time I can remember again being a child. I went to my stepmother's church, and I watched the pianist playing throughout the whole service. And people were clapping and singing along, and I just couldn't get my eyes off, the piano player playing. And so I had my little fingers on the pew, on the back of the pew, and I was playing too, And everybody in the church is in there moving, they're rocking, they're singing, they're just really joyful, and I was, just like just engrossed with that whole thing. And so that became a moment of impact. And then I compared that to at school. I went to Catholic school in Jackson, Mississippi, and we listened to music and we sang a lot because when you're in Catholic school, you got to go to mass every week, and you gotta, we had music class. Um, and but the music wasn't the same. It was different. My teachers were white, and although I enjoyed many of the songs, they didn't have the same effect on me. And I noticed that they weren't having the same, like nobody was crying, nobody was dancing, nobody was doing any of those things. And I also remember, and this was at a different school, but when I was in high school in Jackson Public Schools, I went to APAC, and that's Academic and Performing Arts Complex. So that was the magnet school. It has a different name now. I don't quite remember what it is, but it has a different name. But I remember one time a girl in class, we were doing a musical theater thing, and she added a little run at the end of her song. As long as he needs me. And, when she did that, all the students, we were like, yes, that's amazing. And our teachers, said, no, ma'am, do not do that. You need to not put that soul in there. And we were like, are you serious, lady? And this was high school. And we were just like, she has got to be out of her mind telling her not to put the soul in it. If you're not going to have soul in it, then it's not music. That was our viewpoint, as kids. And so the impact of Black music is something that I could talk about all day, but we only have a few minutes. So that's my short history of the start of the impact of Black music on me personally. So everything that I'm going to say today is coming from that lens. Um, okay, so starting off with a definition so we can all be on the same page. What is an impact? I think we all know what it is, but I decided just kind of look and see what does the dictionary tell us. It said the action of an object coming forcibly into contact with another. And I thought, so it's not just a touch, it's a forcible. It's like I'm coming in. Hey Rhonda. um, and then another definition was again that come into forcible contact with another object, and then having a strong effect on somebody or something. And I'll take that last one to say, in order to have a strong effect, it had to come into forcible contact with us. And hopefully that's something we can all agree on. Yes?
Yes.
Um, and so the pictures, I just kind of put a few pictures in here because we're talking about the impact of Black music. I've been blessed to be able to uh, travel to a few places. And so I just put a few of those pictures. This one here is in Ghana. I worked with a choir there, and I was teaching African
Did
American
you
spirituals.
did you switch?
And
Did you
I'm
switch
sorry,
slides? Did you switch slides? I still see the first slide.
you should be seeing the impact of with the definition.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. That slide.
You don't see that now?
All thing I see is the impact of the first slide with the lady looking.
Really?
Yeah. Krista, you see the slide?
No, I don't. I see the original one.
Wow. Okay, I don't know what Zoom is doing. Okay, so I'm changing. You still don't see it? No? Okay, let me go back out and try again. I'm gonna stop that share. See, this is what I'm okay, and then I'm gonna try to pull this out again. Click present. Let's see. Okay, tell me what you see now
Um, we see impact.
with the definitions.
Yes, the action of one object coming forth. Yes.
Okay.
And then
Um,
there's also some other pictures smaller against the backdrop of the first slide.
Right, right. So that's what you should be seeing. And so I
Okay.
was saying, there's one picture at the top, that's me working with the choir in Ghana, and we were doing African American spirituals. And in that session, these were college students, and they were just like, "Oh my gosh, what is this music?" Because in their classes they've been doing classical music, and so I was coming with spirituals, and just the energy that came in the room and just the questions that they asked was like very eye opening, as far as, wow, there's something different about this musical experience, in this style of music. Another picture is in Costa Rica with some students and had a similar response there. And at the bottom, you'll see that's me working with a choir in Japan. And we're doing gospel music, and none of the people in the choir speak English, but they were all singing in English, singing the gospel music. And I mean, it was just like a total whole experience there. So the impact of Black music, it just really doesn't have any borders or boundaries. Um, okay, next slide. You're seeing some album covers, is that correct?
No, not yet. You might have. It's maybe it's only allowing you to share one slide at a time. At a time. I'm not sure why.
I don't know. Well, I tried to keep going. I'm
I
Okay.
sorry.
see like at the bottom of the screen, it looks like there's a bunch of slides lined up.
Really? I don't see
Plus, it's
that at
like
all.
there's a bunch of slides at the bottom of the screen. There you
There you
go.
go. There you
Now we
go.
see it.
Now we see the album covers.
Okay, that's so weird. That is not what you're supposed to be seeing, but okay, I'm gonna just put
We
it
see
on this
black
then.
music and fashion. Beyonce. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I tried to put it in full screen mode so you could just see that, but okay, we'll go with
Donny
this.
Hathaway still lives.
Yes, yes, he does. You know what? When I chose that picture, I was like, I know somebody gonna know who this is.
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite Donny Hathaway?
Oh come on. I mean, where do you start? Where
I
where do
know,
you really
right?
start? And then plus he did some amazing duets. Like he did a duet with Whitney of a song for you that just grow make a grown man cry. But yeah, the list goes on.
Yes, yes. Just completely outstanding. Of course we have had to, and on this I'm going to just put the disclaimer. There's so many artists, there was no possible way to, I was just getting sick trying to figure out who do I put in here and who do I not put in here. So um, I just chose a few things, and I tried to make sure I had like enough men and enough women that they was kind of balanced out. And that was the most I could do. Um, but so I already know like there's so many people that should be on here. But for this slide, I wanted to really focus in on the different uses of black music. So we see black music is selling fashion. We see black music is selling cosmetics. The hip hop industry, just that genre, is stated to be a $15 billion a year. Um, in 2023, according to one article that I read. And black music is being used to sell cars, food, drinks, furniture, movies, TV, anything that you can think of. Music is used to make it move. And we got to look beyond just the listening of, like listening to the whole songs, to, snippets of these songs are being used all over. So when we talk about an impact, I mean, enforceable contact is coming in. And you know how songs, you don't forget them. It says if you want to remember anything, put it in a song, because years later it'll still be there. People with dementia remember the songs that they knew growing up. And so I just kind of highlighted a few people. Of course, Queen Beyonce, you got to have that. Curtis Mayfield, move on up. Michael Jackson just keeps getting new generations of listeners. I work with children every day, and I have one boy who's 10, and every song he sings is almost Michael Jackson. And it's a cool thing about Michael Jackson because he started, as a child. It helps me to like kind of introduce him with younger kids. And so this particular 10-year-old boy, he's seen Michael Jackson in Jackson 5. And recently I shared with him Michael Jackson as the Scarecrow in The Wiz. But I didn't tell him it was Michael Jackson. Just let him listen to the song to see if he wanted to sing it. And he was like, I like that. I said, I'm sure you do because that's Michael Jackson. He said, what? I said, yeah, he grew up. Um, it doesn't stop. And then I put Oh Happy Day by Edwin Hawkins. Of course, I have a strong gospel background. And of course, the thing about Oh Happy Day is it was the first gospel song to kind of cross over into secular charts. And so it just made that impact of that style of music even bigger. Um, and Marian Anderson, a lot of times when we're talking about black music, we don't really want to talk about opera and classical, but that's black music too. And so, of course, um, our artists, especially, have often used their music to speak on social issues, and their performances have been big political statements, such as Marian Anderson and Mahalia Jackson. And a lot of artists, it doesn't stop. Today's artists are still doing it. But I just was trying to choose a few things here. And of course, Motown, everybody in the whole Motown universe. So I found one picture with a bunch of Motown groups on it. So I was like, okay, that's going to be my Motown picture. And then you have your Kirk Franklins. Kirk Franklin has been able to kind of intertwine secular and gospel, which blurred the thing, and so it don't even. It's just music now. Um, and to the point of when you mention gospel music to maybe like the younger generation, they refer to it as Kirk. Oh, you're talking about Kirk Franklin, and we're like, well, okay. But that's an impact. And we've got CC Winans, coming from a big, music family. And I did put P. Diddy in here because he's all over the news right now. And that is an impact that we need to discuss. And so I just let him represent all the people that we just kind of be like, oh, they're in the news right now. So it's an impact. So music, is the soundtrack of our lives. And everybody knows some key moments in their life that is linked up with a song. Do you have some key moments like that you can
Of
think of off the top of
of
your head?
link to a song.
Mm-hmm.
Aretha Franklin "Say a Little Prayer" song. My
Mm-hmm.
grandmother loved it. She died in 1986. She
Mm-hmm.
played it all the time. I could hear it right now, and it'll bring me to tears. It's just
Mm-hmm.
one. This is just the soulful way of singing it is what I think. You mentioned that it was that's what has the impact on the listener when the person can sing it and the listener thinks that it is speaking directly to them.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
that's the kind of impact that soul music, whether it's gospel, blues, hip hop, has on a listener, and that force
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and your definition.
Yes, yes. And even as a songwriter, I know that there are some songs, one in particular, I have a song called Hide Us that I wrote during at the beginning of the pandemic. And Really, I the way I describe it is that song barged into my room and said, "Sing, write me." And I said, "What?" And I just listened and it came, and that's usually not my songwriting process. So, yeah, songs will enter that way.
And when
What's one of
Meredith
the
was,
lyrics of that song? Oh, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just saying when Meredith was speaking, I have a song that it's like that. It's just like it's Etta James, and it's called "Out of the Rain." And whenever things come up in life, when we all have different struggles, whatever, and but they're personal to us, and whenever I have a situation where I kind of got past a hurdle or found a way to get through something that had been burdening me or whatever, I think of that Etta James song, Out of the Rain, and which she recorded not long after this superstar did a bit uh, on behalf of one of her sons who got into a mess, and she took the blame for it, and she got locked up. A superstar, and she released this after she got out of either prison or jail, I forget,
Wow.
and called "Out of the Rain." And if you haven't heard it, oh, please take a minute and hear it. It's just phenomenal. It gets down to that core of who we are, and getting out from underneath.
Yes, and isn't that what music, that's the power of music. It can
Yes.
just move us, emotionally from a low place to back on our feet, And it's called Out of the Rain. I haven't heard it, so I'm putting it in my on my list now.
And I was playing some Betty Lavette the other night for a well, this is going live, but anyway, for a new girlfriend, and she had never heard of Betty Lavette, and I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. And so I mean, you got certain voices, Beyonce and Whitney, or uh, 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 even Aretha, but I mean Betty Lavette, who was spent so much time with David Ruffin, kind of dropped out for a long period of time behind all them bad habits, but she's has reemerged in the last 20, 25 years, and I've seen her live in concert, and the depth of it's almost like the you can't say raspy, but it's just the depth of emotion. You swear to God that you're listening to her heart beating right in her mouth. It's just otherworldly.
Hmm. Yes. Woo, I'm feeling the chills just listening to you talk about it. I remember, I don't know if it was the first time I heard Whitney Houston, but when the first time I heard her song, well, it's Dolly Parton's song, but I Will Always Love You. And, it starts with just a cappella. And at that time, I think I had never heard that happen on the radio. So we're just listening, and they switch to this new song, and it's just a voice. And it's like the room just stopped. Like, oh my God, what is this? And that's just a moment that has lasted forever because that's what music can do.
I
Um,
can't hear one. I can't hear 10 notes of any Whitney song at this stage of the game without sobbing. I can't do it. It's
yeah.
just when you think of that voice and that life and that passing, it all comes together, and it just changes you.
Yes, yes. And then how we've lost Sissy Houston this week,
Yes.
um, as well. So just so many phenomenal voices, and the gift of music, the gift of the power to record music is that it gets to stay with us. And so, yeah, the impact just keeps happening. I'm gonna switch over to the next.
And Frankie Beverly, I think
Oh yes, Frankie Beverly.
I've seen on social media white parties all over the country, and people doing tributes in on online and in person.
Hmm.
Yeah, his and he nobody could be more positive than Frankie Beverly. I've
Yes.
never heard all his lyrics. Every last one of them are positive. And I've been in his concert in Jackson twice, where the entire building was rocking, and every single person was singing every lyric with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's impact, and that's force that you said in your definition, and the impact of soul. And someone singing like Whitney Houston, her whole body would move, and she would put every ounce of her energy into. And there's many like that sing like that with all of their energy.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And yeah. Wow. I saw a video online in the past couple weeks where a teacher had done a tribute to Frankie Beverly with her, I don't know, they were kindergarten, they were elementary kids, and they were singing Before I Let Go. And it was just kind of really sweet.
Huh?
Um, yeah.
Is that the song that Beyonce covered and did?
Yes. And
Uh
I have a funny story about that too. I have
huh.
one of my much younger cousins. She was in, I think, middle school, and some kind of way the song came up, and she was like, "Oh, that's Beyonce," and we were like, "Girl, no, that is Frankie Beverly." But it's really cool how, like, from generation to generation, like the music outlives and outlasts the artists,
Right.
and it makes them immortal in ways. So pretty cool. Okay.
Dana, could I share one little thing too?
Oh yes.
Because I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a very pale person, and I was raised up in New England, high up in New Hampshire,
Oh.
technically the White
Oh.
Mountains of New Hampshire. But but when I was 12 years old, um, I would listen to late night radio, and I heard Sly Stone, and then I ran down to Bob Duncan's records and tapes, and I got that whole album. And but my friends were looking at me like I was crazy, like some what happened, what happened to him. They would be listening to John Denver, and I'm listening to Sly and the Family Stone, and that was at 12 years old, So um, anyway, I only say that to say that the power of music, different, we have all these crazy different barriers in our life, but music will circumnavigate every last one of them.
Every
I
last
think
one.
that goes to a point that you were making earlier.
Yes, absolutely. Like in the first slide, I was saying, let's one of the things think about what's the color of music, and music is a sound. It don't have a color,
Right.
but it's a feeling. It's a way of being. So absolutely. And I don't want to forget. Moving on to the next one. Don't want to forget the music that happens that's not recorded, or that's not in a major setting. So indie artists such as myself, there's I was telling Meredith before we got started that I saw a figure earlier today that said 3% of the artists are making 90% of the revenue from music. So 97% of the artists. So that means that there's a world of other music out there that the masses aren't hearing, but it's still having an impact because it's happening in your living room, it's happening in your hallway. Like my grandmother used to sing with us in the hallway when a storm was coming. She'd turn off all the lights, get somewhere and sit down, and we would just sing. So that's an impact. Anywhere around the internet, you will hear people sharing a similar story about those grandmothers, and they won't let you do anything because God is doing his business out there. Church soloists, a lot of the major artists would say they got their start singing in church choir, such as Whitney Houston and a bunch of others, Aretha Franklin, and children who are making up songs on the playground. Those songs are impacting them and their friends. We won't know them, but they are. The people that are singing lullabies to kids to help them go to sleep, that's an impact. And so and school music teachers. So when we talk about music and black music, what we're talking about right now, we got to know there's black people singing to people all over this world. And they're not always on a microphone or on a stage, but the impact is being had. Um, so now, also, I have this slide that says this is also black music. Um, because when like I was talking about some of my travels in other places, people have said, like I went to Kenya a couple years ago, and most of the people that I met there, they've never seen an African American because they're in Kenya. And but they've seen African Americans on music videos, and so typically they're watching one genre, and so they thinking that's what all African Americans are, what they've seen in the media, and that's what the beginning and end of black music is for them. So I have this slide that tells us that, well, black music is being sung by all kinds of people. And in this context, I'm saying it's music that's written by black people. So there was a songwriter, Otis Blackwell from New York, and he wrote many hits for Elvis. He wrote Return to Sender, Don't Be Cruel, All Shook Up. I know we know these songs. Fever. I loved Fever just from the first time I heard it as a kid. I didn't know that, I didn't even know about Otis Blackwell, but I just loved the song. And then Great Balls of Fire. Otis Blackwell wrote some songs for Jerry Lewis as well. So it's just important to highlight, especially because I know that I'm going to keep referring to, my personal experience growing up. Um, because I had a lot of different musical styles that I was interacting with. I mean, I was doing gospel at church. I was singing hymns at school. I was, hearing, music at parties of family functions, and I was playing classical music on the piano. And so sometimes things that I would write, I didn't know if it was black music or not. And that was a problem because and so I just always want to highlight to, especially young people, that music does not have a color. Like we're in all the genres. We're there. And in fact, black people have created most of these genres. Um, so just wanted to highlight that as well. Now, the instances that I have on this slide with the also black music, these were situations where the songwriter is hired and the songwriter is paid and credited. Now, we're going to go to some other situations where that didn't really happen. And this is black music too. K pop is super popular among the young group. Um, and so I found a quote from one of the music execs that's in this genre, and he says, in terms of music, black music is the base. Even when doing many genres like house, urban, and PBR&B, there's no change to the fact that it is black music. The boundaries of music genres are being broken globally. And we are also embracing this and making it BTS style. So BTS is a popular K-pop group. And so I just thought that it was, and this is a public statement that was made by the founder of Big Hit Music, which is the label that BTS is with. Worth noting. Meredith, are you going to say something?
Yeah, I never heard of
Oh,
K-pop.
K-pop. So K-pop, if you listen to it, it sounds like R&B with Korean lyrics. I mean, that's the way I do it. My daughter loves K-pop, and her friends love K-pop, and I like some of it too. But the first time I remember, the first time I ever heard it, I was like, oh, this sounds like R&B with some Korean lyrics, and that's really essentially what it is. Um, and they've patterned it after black groups that they've seen on MTV back in those days, and as far as the groups with the dress and the dance and all the things, and the sound, and so I mean, K-pop is super big in the music industry.
And someone just mentioned that her daughter loves K-pop in the chat.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and I said worth noting. I keep not pronouncing his name because I don't want to mispronounce it. But the person who we're talking about with the quote, he's one of the 50 wealthiest people in South Korea. So we're talking about the impact of black music. So we've spent a lot of time talking about how it makes us feel. And to me, that is the biggest impact. But it's the music industry. So we want to be clear that the music is, it's feeding a lot of people around the world. Um, all right, now this page. So we've talked about. Remember, I said before on the with Otis Blackwell, he was paid to write songs for Elvis Presley, Jerry Lewis, and all these other people. Well, there's also the history of people stealing black music and not giving credit to the people who created these songs. So Willie Dixon is a blues musician from Vicksburg, and I know that Meredith is writing a book on the blues right now. So I'm sure you have a lot to add here. Many of Led Zeppelin's songs. Led Zeppelin was a British band, and very wildly popular, and years later, it was discovered, that a lot of their music wasn't theirs. And there were lawsuits, and some things were settled out of court. Um, that songs that sometimes they just took the whole song and did it, and sometimes they changed the song, but still didn't give credit to the creators of the music. And with me being from Mississippi, I'm like, it's very interesting that they had a lot. This particular band had a lot of music that they got from Mississippi, from artists in Mississippi, and they're all the way in Britain. They were all the way in Britain, so I thought that was like very interesting. So Booker White, he was a blues musician from Aberdeen, Mississippi, and many of his songs as well. And then Howlin' Wolf, again from Mississippi. Um, yeah. So some of the songs are listed here: "Killing Floor," "Shake 'Em On Down," "You Need Love," "Bring It On Home." I put "You Need Love" twice, and "Whole Lot of Love."
And if I can add to that a little, Dana, you know, I mean, really, it seemed like they call it appropriation.
Hmm.
They appropriate, these white people appropriate the music of other people and take it. I'm sorry, appropriate the music of black artists and take it straight to the bank. And there is one British band that I do give credit to because it seems like at many of their live performances, they are telling stories from they when they met the original, blues artists around Mississippi and recorded oftentimes. And I'm talking about the Rolling Stones. They
Hmm.
constantly, regularly give credit to the originators. And in 2016, they devoted an entire album called "Blue and Lonesome" in 2016. But to me, they're an anomaly because like Zeppelin and a lot of those other the Who and a lot of those other huge white British bands, you never hear a word about where they got all that from.
Oh no.
Appropriating.
Yes. And isn't it interesting how like different words kind of lessen the blow, I guess. So we say appropriated, well, it's not
Stealing.
stealing.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty white word for stealing.
So thank you for that. I didn't know about the Who, but I should have known because they were really super popular. Um, but yeah, and so it just but what is it about this music that makes it worth stealing, and that's what we're really trying to get at. Like, what is it? Is it the beats? Is it the rhythm? Is it the melody? Or is it something else, or a combination of all of it, um we're gonna keep on looking into it. All right, lyrics matter. And I had mentioned lyrics a little bit before because as a songwriter, again, I am so much about the lyrics. To me, music is it's communication. Um, and you do have instrumental music, but I'm focusing on music that has vocals and lyrics today. But lyrics matter, and lyrics are very impactful, even for people who say, "Oh, I just listen to the beat. I don't listen to the lyrics." Just because you're not listening to them, don't mean the lyrics not talking. They are speaking, and they are doing their work. Um, but sometimes, people are listening to the lyrics. So I've mentioned Billie Holiday, which I know Meredith has a wonderful book about Billie Holiday, and just an amazing, uh, very interesting life. But one of the big moments in my mind is, her song "Strange Fruit," and a song is impactful when the government is getting involved. Like, it's just a song. Why, just a song. Why does the government care that you're singing this song? Um, but it's what you're singing about. Who sings a song about lynching? Southern trees bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Um, and so this song it was a poem written by a Jewish man, um, who he wrote it in response to the things that were happening. Um, and so Billie Holiday picks the song up and sings it at all these concerts, and the government is just having a fit about it, and to the point of setting her up so that they could put her in prison. Because if you're in prison, you can't sing a concert about this. And if we ever want to tell ourselves that lyrics don't matter, that's just not true, because they do. Um, and so the power of music is the melody, the beat, the instrumentation is what the message rides on. It's like the packaging for the actual message. And it makes it where people can receive it. Um, and sometimes people get so caught up into the package that they don't pay attention to the message. And I'm just gonna leave that right there because people be getting real upset about various things related to lyrics of songs that they like. But do y'all know what I'm talking about? Okay, all right.
Yes,
Cause see,
absolutely, absolutely. And we're getting towards the end. You're gonna open it up for questions, and then I guess we have about 10 minutes left. We'll open it up for questions, or um,
absolutely. Let's take some questions. Yeah, let's take some questions. Oh, can I? I need to say one more thing before I
sure.
open up the questions. Rhythm. It's in this rhythm section, and I say black music isn't just about random sounds. It's about what we're feeling when we create those sounds. So back to when I said, is it the music? Is it the beats? Is it the lyrics? What is it? Is it a combination? It's about how we're feeling. And black music is honesty about life, like the syncopated rhythms embody that uncertainty of life. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen next. And so we put that in music. And like when you think you're about to get ahead and something changes, or are you remembering that just when you were about to give up, something changed? So that's like the syncopation. And the clapping on 1 and 3 versus 2 and 4. Basically, I just said, let's get the beat started before we start adding our claps. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna open it up for questions now. That's just me being Dana. Questions, comments, concerns. Oh, there's a playlist.
Well, just I I I definitely had a question, but before that, I just you are so thorough. Your approach to this topic is so comprehensive, and you even tucked in other areas in culture, advertising, fashion. You found your approach is just so comprehensive and broad based and inclusive. And I mean, I think that's so key because it's easy to get really focused in on a single topic, and when you don't, then you miss the larger picture. So I just wanted to thank you for that. And then I wanted to ask you personally, um, as you look back, on your career, your boundless different ventures and interests that you've pursued. Um, is there a certain event in your early life, or was there a certain person? I might guess, but anyway, or was there a certain person that really propelled you to to be that strong, multi-talented, resourceful woman that you are today?
Oh my gosh, what a question. First of all, thank you for the uh, compliments about the presentation because, whoo, child, I was going through trying to figure out how to just
I'm not,
tackle
I'm just,
such a massive topic.
I was the same way earlier this year. When Meredith Coleman gets a hold of you and wants you to contribute, you got to dig deep. You got to go to the mat for her.
You gotta go because she's Meredith. But yeah, so that person I'm gonna have to say is my mother. And I think you know her, Dr. Janice Neal Vincent. My mother was, when we started together, this is our 50th anniversary because I turned 50 this year. It's just me and her. So she was a single mom at the time. And, but, she's a speaker, she's a professor, she's a fashionista, she's all these things. And so I had an up close and personal view to see, behind the scenes of these things. So she would be in the mirror practicing her oratory, and I would, didn't have any playmates or sisters and brothers. So she would be in a mirror, da 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 da. So I would be in a mirror, da 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 da. And so just being able to see that strength. Definitely propelled me. Even when I didn't want to be, my mother was the one that would be like, at the last minute, hey, somebody didn't learn their part. I need you to do it. Shows in 30 minutes. What? So you didn't have time to be afraid. You didn't have time to, be shy, and you definitely weren't going to not do it. So I'm going to say the answer to the question is my mother. And thank God for her.
Yeah, and I wanted to add one thing. I was just thinking of back. You made me think back, and I thought of Marilyn Monroe, who supported Ella Fitzgerald. I mean, she was her greatest friend, and then Eric Chapman. He refused to go on TV without Howlin' Wolf, and because of the impact that he had on him, and then the impact that he had, and he comes from Mississippi, the plantation. He learned how to play the guitar on the plantation, and then Jimi Hendrix. He came from that influence, and he created his own genre of rock and roll, and was the best guitarist. Ernest Ayers, I think, got his skills from him, and Jimi Hendrix was also the best paid. even though he had a short life in terms of his earning capacity, reaching his earning capacity. But his music was forceful and impactful. Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters, and I'm so glad you used those words in your presentation. Impactful, and forceful.
Mhm. Yes. Thank you so much for this. I could say so many things, but I'm appreciative. And I'm say being from Mississippi, um, music is us. Like we are music. And I think being from Mississippi, that's like a whole big statement right there. And it explains a lot about the music, because you have to be from Mississippi to get some of these sounds in you because of the experience there. And that I think that's what the difference is about black music. It's the struggle, it's the everything that's in that, and it can't be fabricated. But the thing is, all humans struggle. And I think this music allows people to tap into their personal histories in ways that some other music doesn't, because it's not coming from, you know what, I'm not going to hide from this pain I'm feeling. I'm not going to hide from this struggle, and I'm going to have some joy while I'm struggling. And that's like really crazy stuff. But I think that's the power of black music, and that's why it's so impactful, if you ask me.
Yes, very well stated. It really is. Yes, and then a very interesting presentation. Uh, you know, you cover the economics. Can you tell us how is it divided up? Where, who in the music industry really? You recorded 60 songs. How do you get the revenue from those songs? If you could explain that to a lay person like me.
So when you stream music, or like you listening on Spotify, Apple Music, the internet, the artist is getting like 0.00001 cents. Yes, per stream. So you gotta get like millions of streams to get $100. Um,
Oh my,
so it's really not lucrative in that way. Mostly like someone like myself would be like selling music directly from your website or from your shows. But then you also have to pay for your show. If you got live musicians, you got to pay all of them. So it's that kind of thing. So yeah, and when I was trying to look at figures online from the industry, interestingly enough, um, hip hop was the only one that I could find a figure for. And in a lot of circles, that is what black music is. That's the totality of what it is. Um, and so, yeah, I think it's very interesting how it's not broken down. But I did find numbers for Latino music. So it's what the industry is interested in tracking at the moment, or interested in letting the public know about.
wow.
So say that to say support your artist. If you got a friend that says I got a show, go to the show, buy the ticket. Don't complain about the ticket. Bring a friend with you. Don't ask for a hookup because they don't have a hookup. Pay the $2 to download the music or whatever they're asking you to do, because it costs a lot to bring this to people. And nobody wants us to say it, so I gotta say it.
Hey Meredith, I'm just thinking that shall we just say Diva Dana just gave you a subtitle for your book. Would
What's
it like
that?
um the 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 struggle the struggle that has reverberated around the world. Where you
Yes.
focused on blues music on your next book. and
Uh-huh.
she really honed in on the real deal is the struggle and the passion of the truthful struggle coming out into the music. I mean that there's your subtitle, Meredith.
I
Yeah,
like it.
well, I learned a lot from your presentation in terms of your effects and uh, the 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 songwriters um and the British rock groups who were getting the songs from us. I remember seeing a movie, the Five Heartbeats, and that happened in that story where they took the song that they wrote and their music and gave it to a white band, and I think that also if you look at the impact maybe even of a BB King, there were Bobby Rush. I mean, there were so many. It took them um, uh, how long decades to become successful, but now um, they're successful and they're getting their flowers while they're. I mean, Bobby Rush is maybe 90. He has a street name for him. He has his own record label, and how does that uh, uh, tap into the money of an artist? Can you explain that part of it?
With all the arts, whether you're in music, dance, drama, all that, the more you can do yourself, the better you're gonna eat. So if you have to get a label, you got to create a label, you got to do these things, um, so that you can, survive and thrive. So,
Pressing albums, pressing albums.
mhm.
The end product. Do you know? Are there any black companies that are pressing albums? But hip
Now
hop.
that I'm not aware, but I'm not gonna say it doesn't exist. So if they watching this, I hope they make us know who they are and send some messages or put some comments on the live because I don't know. I go through a distributor, and yeah, when I need to print things, I just go through
I
the
see. I
folks.
see. Do you sell CDs when you're doing concerts or public events?
I do. I don't automatically, order them now because a lot of people don't have anything to play CDs on.
Oh my
But
God!
yes, like if when enough people like they want to pre-order or something, then I'll order based on
Uh,
that. But yeah, I miss the days of physical things and like Chris was mentioning going into the record store. I miss that, because
uh,
holding the music is a whole other level.
well, I just gotta say this. I have everything that you can play music on except for a track. I still got the CD, the album, play, and I love to listen to it that way. Of course, we're spoiled with the other ways, but uh, that way is the physical way of putting it. And now I bought Bobby Rush's new album. I'm buying albums sometimes. Are you doing yours in albums?
I have an album that's called Funky Faith. So I wish I don't have it right here in front of me right now, but yes. So that is spoken word over jazz, and I have some other of the singles available. So I hook you up, ma'am.
Because even when I go to bookstores to do book events, they have a collection of albums now. It's back.
They do. Mm-hmm. They
Yes.
do.
And people are buying because with the album is not as easy to steal it as it was in the CD industry. I think that may be
Yeah.
one reason why they went back to albums.
I guess.
Anyway,
Now I don't have anything on vinyl yet. Vinyl is so expensive to get. So that's why when you in the store it costs $40 because it costs a lot to make those. But the
oh,
CDs, I got some of
oh,
those.
I see,
Yeah.
I see. And we do have an evaluation for Dana, and I emailed it to you, and also I have it in the chat. Please download because we have to do the evaluation for the Mississippi Humanities uh, Council. And thank you so much, Dana Rice, for
Thank
this
you,
great
Meredith.
presentation and all of the positivity that you have shared through your music with the youth. And we see you. We see you on Facebook and Instagram, and we're so proud of you. And we're glad that you are making an impact and a force with music and positivity. Thank you.
Thank you much. Thank you.
Okay, then. Well, that's the end of this presentation. You all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks again, Dana.
All right.
Thank you.